Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is Diplomatic Insight, a show dedicated to explain about diplomacy and foreign relationship at bilateral and multilateral levels. And today I've got you the one and only Indian ambassador to Ethiopia, Ambassador Sri Robert. Thank you, Ambassador, for blessing us with your time.
Thank you and welcome to the Indian Embassy.
Ambassador, I want you to explain about the bilateral relationship between Ethiopia and India, which started since 1948 and then 1950, the actual relationship, especially on the people-to-people ties and on issues of common interest.
I think allow me to go a little bit back to history because our relations go about 2,000 years ago. It was trade that brought the two countries together. There was a lot of contact. People from traders from India would come by boat on caravans by foot and through Yemen and then through Ethiopia. Indians have always found Ethiopia to be their home. In the last 150 years or 120, 130 years ago, there were about 150 Indian families, mostly in Dire Dawa and in Addis Ababa. So for the last 4 or 5 generations, these people from Gujarat, mostly from Gujarat, have made Ethiopia their home. And I would like to thank the people, the friendly people of Ethiopia and the Ethiopian government for accepting them. In contemporary times, we have excellent relations, and I want to specify or elaborate some of the sectors. Let us start with business and trade. These 150 families came here because of their trading and business interests. Today, about maybe half of the families have left Ethiopia, but we have 60 families. In the last 20 years, lots of private Indian investors have come to Ethiopia, and today there are 650 Indian companies registered with the Ethiopian Investment Commission. And cumulatively, according to the estimates of EIC, Indian investments are worth about $5 billion, of which we expect $3 billion are on the ground. And all Indian factories combined have given employment to 75 Ethiopian nationals. So that is why our business relations are very visible. The next important aspect would be education. During imperial times, there were tens of thousands of Indian teachers, mostly from the state of Gujarat, who came and taught in secondary schools in Ethiopia. So invariably, people from the older generation would recall their Indian science or mathematics teachers. Yes, school teachers have left. Today, we have about 1,200 to 1,500 Indian faculty in Ethiopian public universities. So education is important. And as you yourself know, that since you have studied in India, you would agree that Ethiopian students form one of the largest group of students from Africa studying in India. The Indian Foreign Ministry gives scholarship to 55 Ethiopian students every year. Indian Ministry of Education also provides scholarship under Study in India scheme. But there are many Ethiopian students who go to India on self-financing basis or on scholarship provided by the Ethiopian government. Few months ago, I met a gentleman, Muhammad Idris, speaking in fluent Hindi. He told me that he had studied in Symbiosis University in Pune, and during his time, there were more than 2,000 Ethiopian students studying in Pune itself. So that is why, when I say education is very important aspect of our relations, this is simple mathematics. Few days ago, the Ethiopian Minister of Women and Social Affairs was conferred the ICCR Distinguished Award in New Delhi because she had completed her PhD in anthropology in Andhra University, and because of the contributions that she had made for the relations between our two countries, India decided to confer on her this prestigious award. And I would like to add that she was the only dignitary from Africa who was conferred this award in 2021. So again, a simple example of how education is. Last night, Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, commemorated their 175 years of its foundation in Addis Ababa. Again, Addis Ababa has been identified as the first place in Africa where they will commemorate these big events. That is because Ethiopian students, scholars, have studied in large numbers in IIT Roorkee, and today some of them have occupied high government positions. Many of them are working in the private sector, and because of the contributions that they have made to Ethiopia, IIT Roorkee decided to commemorate this big event in Addis Ababa. Again, education, it shows how important education is. Politically, our relations are excellent. The former Ethiopian Prime Minister visited India in 2015, and the former Indian President visited Ethiopia in 2017. Even despite the COVID pandemic, Ethiopian Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister visited India in February 2021. In June 2022, External Affairs Minister of India paid a visit to Addis Ababa. He called on the Honorable President and exchanged pleasantries with the Honorable Prime Minister and the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister. So our relations are excellent. Again, last month, Ethiopian Minister of Industry visited India to attend CII Exim Bank Africa Conclave meeting in New Delhi. So politically, our relations are excellent.
Amazing, amazing. You have explained everything about the bilateral relations. Let's go deep into the bilateral relations. And the bilateral relations history reveals that there's no dispute between the interests of Ethiopia and India. And that has been strengthened because of the long-standing and consistent relationship that India and Ethiopia has had, especially when it comes to the relationship in international fora of UNSC. So what's the impetus for India and what's the mutual understanding in such occasion?
I think India has always stood for the developing South. We have always looked at our sisters and brothers in Africa, in Asia, and in the Caribbean as our own. So that is why in the multilateral or international fora, we have always cooperated. Many people don't talk about the cooperation that we have. For example, Ethiopia has been consistently supporting Indian candidatures in elections to various organizations. I would like to thank Ethiopia for always continuously supporting India in these elections. During the past 2 years, you will see that India, as a member of the Security Council, have taken this principal stand that whatever happened or whatever was happening or is happening in Ethiopia should be seen as an internal matter of Ethiopia. You are a sovereign country, and whatever decision that has to be taken by Ethiopia. You can solve your problem. So that is why we have always taken this principal stand that Ethiopia is a sovereign country. Awesome. And the other issue that often comes up is the Great Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. And India has always said, because India has also similar problems, we have river issues, we have water issues with our neighboring countries, and we have excellent relations with Ethiopia, with Sudan, with Egypt, and we have stated or reiterated that African solutions for African problems should drive these negotiations between the three countries.
Awesome, awesome. Let's get back to Ethiopia now. What's your take on the efforts of the government of Ethiopia now to conduct a national dialogue, which is a big thing for Ethiopia? What's your take on that?
There is a lot of similarity between India and Ethiopia. We are the second largest country in the world in terms of population. You are the second largest country in terms of population in Africa. We are diverse country. We have more than 20 official languages. We have more than 1,000 dialects. We have every 100 kilometers that you travel in India, food habits are different. People have different customs. So in the same way, Ethiopia is also a diverse country. You have more than 80 ethnic groups. But both our countries, we also realize that while we celebrate diversity, unity is also very important. It is similar experience for both the countries. So we celebrate unity, we celebrate diversity. Now, at this point, I would only like to say that both countries can learn from each other. I can also learn so many good things that you have here, and in the same way, Ethiopia can also look at India and learn from us. In all this, dialogue between communities is very important. So you're opening channels of communication. You are yourself accepting that it is only by dialogue, it's only by democratic means that we can help improve our countries. So I think the basic parameter that any dialogue in a country is useful will also apply, and also applies for the National Dialogue Initiative that you have undertaken.
Awesome. Is there any experience that India has had when it comes to national dialogue that can be learned by Ethiopia?
I think leaders from your country, people from your country, can look at us, and you will see that every country is not perfect. So we are also continuously trying to improve ourselves. So it is for you. I cannot make a comment saying that this is the yardstick that you should follow. So I think the best way would be that it is for you, for your people, for your leaders to look at other countries and see what is best for you.
Awesome. Is there any plan by India and the Indian mission in order to help the upcoming national dialogue, whether it's through implementation and the planning? Is there any plan?
No, we don't. But see, India got its independence in 1947. So actually, we are a very young country, unlike Ethiopia, because Ethiopia's history as the only country in Africa that has never been conquered. So actually, in terms of statehood, we are very old. Now, in 1947, we got our independence. Since then, we have really progressed. And today, we are going to celebrate our 75 years of independence. We have already started. The next year, in 1948, Ethiopia was one of the first countries to establish diplomatic relations with India. So that means next year, we will be celebrating 75 years of our diplomatic relations. So from the embassy, we are going to organize many events, not only in Addis, but in all regions of Ethiopia, because I always have been very clear with my colleagues in the embassy that Addis is not only Ethiopia. Ethiopia consists of all regions. So we are going to organize many cultural programs, many initiatives. We have already carried out tree plantation campaigns in various regions of Ethiopia. So in the next 1 year, we are going to be very busy because of the goodwill that we have we believe that we can undertake many cultural or other activities.
Let me get back to water resources and everything related. So whenever we talk about a fact that is India sharing 54 transboundary rivers with that of Bangladesh, I think there is a certain understanding that is mutual between Bangladesh and of India when you use equitable and reasonable water resources of the sharing of water resources. So I want you to tell us your experience so that we can learn, and at the same time I want you to relate that experience with that of the issue of equitable and reasonable sharing of the water resource of Nile or Abai.
I think if you look not only in India, but if you look at any civilization, water is a precious commodity. In ancient days, you would see villages also having issues about sharing of water. You have mentioned about India's delicate relations with neighboring countries because of water issues. I also want to bring to your kind notice or information that actually within the states inside India, because India is a federal country, within the states, within the various states in India, we also have similar issues. Now, the only best way, there is no other way, the only way is for all the parties to come together, talk and negotiate. That is the only way.
That is the only way to discuss and come with solutions. So let's come to Indian and Ethiopian commercial relations, and I want you to focus on the bilateral trade and investment relationship between Ethiopia and India. As a fact, I know that Indians are the top 3 investors here in Ethiopia. I want you to elaborate on that.
See, we believe that according to the EIC estimates, India is the second largest foreign investor here. Okay, now most of the investments would have come in the last 20 years. 60% of the Indian factories are in manufacturing. So you'll have lots of factories in and around Addis. We also have about 30 plus factories in Gelan, Dukem, Bishoptu, Adama, and Mojo. So this will be in Oromia. We have 20 agriculture farms, Indian farms in Ethiopia. So you have a large floral farm or horticulture called Hansa Flowers in Holeta. There is another strawberry farm called Afri Flora. So they are also a very large strawberry farm. Near Nekemt, we have one mango farm, which is about 400 hectares. It's a huge mango farm. Come this side, we have in Bako, we have one of the largest sugar field. So it is about 3,000, 4,000 hectares. And the only private individual who has a sugar factory is an Indian.
Amazing.
Yes. Now these are this is sugar, mango, and strawberry and horticulture. Coming to banana, the largest banana farm in Ethiopia is an Indian farm. It is near Lake Chamo. It's the largest banana farm in Ethiopia, and it's owned by an Indian. We also have another banana farm near Lake Abaya. So 10, 15 years ago, when this investor came, actually the community there didn't know about banana farming. Today they have learned from this Indian investor, and actually this has changed the lives of many communities in that area for good. We also have one tea farm or tea estate in Gambela. This is called Vedanta Harvest. Then we have another Indian coffee plantation near Bonga. So Indian investments are spread everywhere. They are diverse. They are, as I would say, Indians have participated in the economic progress and development of Ethiopia. So I would say you have Addis Ababa, you have Bishoptu area. The third would be Debra Barhan. So we have about 12, 13 Indian factories there. Now, in addition to that, I want to talk about 2, 3 factories. If you go, in Zuwai, a place called Adami Tilu, actually an Indian company called Alana Sons have set up probably the largest meat processing plant, if not in Africa, but in the Horn of Africa. So it's a huge meat processing plant. At Bolelemi, there are 3 Indian textile factories. I just want to say that one textile company called JJ gives employment to 9,000 Ethiopian workers. So huge. We also have 4 or 5 textile factories in Hawassa. So wherever you think of, Indian companies are there, and these Indian companies will quietly come set up their factories. Once they come here, they will never leave the countries.
That's amazing. I want you to elaborate more on these companies helping the communities, engaging the communities, and creating employment for the communities here in Ethiopia.
If Ethiopia wants to be a manufacturing hub, so you have to give subsidies, you have to give a lot of importance to these factories who are manufacturing, rather than importing finished products from above, so from outside. So if Ethiopia looks at itself as the manufacturing hub in the pharma sector, I think India has really extended its hand, in the sense that, let's say about 8 years ago, the first joint venture in the pharma sector is called Kadila Pharmaceuticals. This is in Gelan. Last year, the second joint venture in, again, a pharma factory was inaugurated in Sandafa, near Sandafa. So this is Kilitz Estro. Earlier this year in March, a standalone Indian investment in the pharma sector called Glocare was inaugurated at Kilinto Industrial Park. So actually, at the moment, at Kilinto Industrial Park is for the pharma sector, right? So we have only one factory, that is an Indian factory, that has started manufacturing medicine there. So this is, now the second one behind Glocare, we have another Africure, another company. Again, this is a joint venture. So I believe in the next 2-3 months, they will start producing medicine. So I'm only saying that, many people don't know, but there are lots of Indian companies who are here operating, and as I said, once they come here, they will not leave.
Amazing. That's what we need whenever we talk about this bilateral and people-to-people ties. Let me come back to the issue of cultural relations between Ethiopia and that of India. Through the cultural relations, especially India has worked utmost, especially in expanding and strengthening the quality education here in Ethiopia, especially through the ICCR and ITech scholarship that you deliver. I want you to elaborate on those things with that of the quality education here in Ethiopia.
Since 1960, the late 1960s, India started what we call the ITech courses. These are short-term training programs. So in the last so many years, I think lots of Ethiopian nationals have gone to India to attend these various short-term training programs, and we believe that these courses have helped them in developing their skills. And this is not only for Ethiopia, we are talking about the whole of Africa, the Caribbean, and some of the Asian countries. So India has always been clear from the beginning that whatever benefits we have, because we managed to improve the education system in India, and we know that gains that we have, we will share with our sisters and brothers in Africa and elsewhere. So that is why Every year now, we send about 400 Ethiopian nationals to attend these various programs. Now, I have traveled a bit in your beautiful country, and actually I was pleasantly surprised to come across Ethiopian nationals speaking Hindi, and that was a good Hindi. And when I inquire about them, they tell me that they are able to speak Hindi by watching Hindi movies. I think we have made a very good start. Our cultures are similar. We appreciate each other, we are accommodative, we are respectful. There's a lot of similarity between us, so that is why it is always easy. And as I said, we have this 1,500 Indian faculty who are here in various public universities. I am very sure that these people have really contributed to your country's development. When I interact with them in the last, let's say, 1.5 years, the Indian Embassy has visited about at least minimum 30 universities. And wherever we go, we always interact with the Indian faculty. And I have always been very clear. I said, yes, you have your occupational obligations that you teach in the universities, but I also tell them that please contribute to the development, to the welfare of local communities you live. So, for example, Dr. Kanan Ambalam teaches business management at Valaga University. But during weekends, he will go to the villages, he will talk with them, he will mobilize villagers, and he will construct low-cost bridges. And in the last 4 years, I think he has constructed almost 100 bridges. And earlier in those communities in Valaga zones, people would cross those streams, and during rainy seasons, some of them would be carried away by flood. But today, in those communities where he has constructed these bridges, children can safely go to school. Parents are not worried because those bridges have really helped them, have really made their life easy.
This is really amazing, and we are truly indebted to this kind of justice.
And in those communities, those rural communities, you have these water springs where women will scoop water from the ground and put it in their pots or yards, and at the same time, animals also will come and drink. This is not hygienic. So what Mr. Kanan Ambalam and his group of friends from Valaga University have done, they have revived these water springs. So far they have revived, I think, 55 water springs where, because of the construction that they make, today clean water would be flowing from pipes. So women can or families can get hygienic water, and at the same time animals also can drink separately. So I have always told the Indian community that wherever we are, it is Ethiopia that has accepted us, that we are today living here because of these good people, and wherever possible, we should always give back to them. We should contribute to the welfare of local communities.
That's really amazing, and we are really, as an Ethiopian, I'm really thankful to the activities that these amazing Indians are giving back to Ethiopia.
So now what we are going to do is, as I told you, we are going to have the 75 years of our diplomatic relations. So now what we have done is, we are not limiting these bridges and revival of water projects, not only in Valaga, but we are also extending this to other places. So maybe 2-3 months ago, we revived 2 springs in Hosanna, and with in collaboration with Watsemo University. And just last month, we inaugurated, or we constructed, even I physically participated in that project. We completed a very nice low-cost bridge in Asko. This is on the outskirts of Addis. And I believe those communities will really benefit. And in the coming months, please follow us on our Facebook, because we are going to undertake more of these projects. And any person who wants to participate and join in these projects are welcome.
Awesome. My final question will be related to politics and religious and ethnic division. Ethiopia, as you have read and stayed here, has been through systemic ethnic division for more than 3 decades. And I think and I believe India has gone through divisions too, whether we call it caste system, whether we call it the linguistic and religious and other divisions. But at the same time, what amazes me as a person who has seen India physically is the unity when it comes to the issue of India. So what's the impetus, what's the thick for India to have this diversity as well as unity at the same time? There is linguistic diversity, there is this religious diversity, and there is this literary diversity. And this diversity will come to oneness when it comes to the issue of India. I want you to explain that so that we can learn from it.
I think there is another similarity between Ethiopia and India. Actually, I have read this. I have read a news item many years ago, which found that the people from Ethiopia and India are very proud people. They are very proud of their countries. And I think this is right. When you see Ethiopians with their flags, they are really proud of their country. They are the proudest people. In the same way, Indians also are very proud of their country. We are very patriotic. I think that is a good start. 2 months ago, you have this department for diaspora. They had gone to India because they also want to look at India's practice of how we look at our diaspora. Because the diaspora from India, diaspora from Ethiopia are quite big. And if you look at our diaspora, actually they love their motherland, they love their, the countries where they are born, where they have come from. And you and I agree that if our diaspora are so proud of their motherland, I think we will survive. Ethiopia as a political country, or as a civilization, or as a country, you have survived for 2,000 plus years. You will manage. You have nothing to learn from others. You can manage your own problems.
That's really amazing. Thank you very much for blessing us with your time, for explaining everything about India.
For me, it's an honor. Once again, thank you.
You're welcome. That's all that we have got for you inside this edition of Diplomatic Insight that focuses more on diplomatic relationship and foreign relations at bilateral and multilateral levels. Thank you for staying with us.